Well, hello everyone and welcome. It's been a while since we've had a video up on our channel, and I am so thrilled that our first video back is going to be a discussion with two of the leaders of NCGR. Linda has stepped up as our president this year and has taken a magic wand to the organization and has spearheaded initiatives that are moving us toward building our membership, toward updating our look and feel, toward building more community opportunities for us to connect and grow. So I have Linda with me, and then also Maria Wander is our social media manager, but she's so much more. She holds a vision for how we could grow in our reach and how we can expand and connect with other organizations, form collaborations. And so I am thrilled to bring you both here into this conversation and talk about one, what drew you to the organization, what keeps you involved, two, what do you see for the organization, and let's talk about some of the exciting things that we have going on, and three, where is astrology as a whole going, and what is the future of organizations in our field? So I guess we could start with Linda. So Linda, first of all, welcome as our president. This is our first official video introducing you to everyone and to really showcasing you as our leader. First of all, what what drew you to running for this position and toward taking the torch that was handed to you and carrying it forward?
Well, to be honest, it was not in my it's not in my vision. I never imagined I would be doing this, and I politely declined the offer to run 6 times, actually. Uh, So, I mean, it's not like it was something I sought after. On the 7th ask, I did a synastry that ran a biwheel, and it was one of those, oh dear, because my moon is 4 minutes off of the organization's sun. And my Saturn is 27 minutes off of the MC. There's other things, but those two kind of went, okay, this is part of your journey. It's been challenging. Um, just, getting us moving, having us really look to the future. And I feel that the chart called me. I have a Pisces stellium, so I have to say it's like I'm not the most grounded person, but the chart has a Pisces sun with Mercury Cazimi. So it's strong Pisces. And we have a Cancer moon and a Libra rising. And I feel that the chart called me to get us into alignment with who we are or what our chart's about. Because we all know if a person's or anything's not in alignment with its chart, it's not happy, you know? So that's very much that's my mission or my bottom line vision for where I see us going. And so a lot of the initiatives I've been working with and on have been around um, that purpose.
I love it. And that's one great, you bring up such a good point about being involved in an astrology organization, is that so many of the decisions that we make behind the scenes are driven by our understanding of of the synastry, of all the different aspects, astrological aspects.
Mhm.
Um, I want to come back to the vision that you just mentioned, but I want to move to Maria and see Maria. You've been involved for how many years? When did you become involved with the organization?
Oh gosh, I first began to get involved with NCGR New York City, which is my home chapter. I live in New York. That was in 2002. And uh, eventually I became an associate, so helping out with this, that, and the other thing, because I am a Capricorn sun and I have Capricorn rising. And it's not that I'm controlling, but it's just that when something needs doing, I just do it. Like I don't ask for permission. I just start to do it. Like have you ever walked into a conference, like you're speaking at a conference and you look in the audience and you see that they've put all the chairs right next to each other, like one chair is stacked right next to the other chair. And I'm like, whose bottom is like that? Nobody. I mean, so basically everyone is sitting in each other's laps. It just infuriates me. So I will go out and I'll rearrange like the first couple of rows because I always get there early. So I I just need to rearrange things. And like Linda, people come to me and say, let's pick Maria to run this thing because she's already going to do it. That's why I'm I feel we're so lucky to have Linda as our leader at this moment in time when the world is in so much flux, because she is powerhouse Aries sun, but she's got that lovely stellium in Pisces. And you should give power to the people who don't want it. That's the way that's the way to do it, because then they're not running about like trying to set things on fire. They're just trying to do the thing that needs to be done. And I found that astrology and astrology groups, people, they don't like to be alone, like solitaire witches. They want to be together. Like we are Aquarian types, we're Mercury types. We want to trade. We want to, be together, conjoin. So that was easily something that happened to me when I became part of like the astrology community. Like they took me into their arms and they spoke my language, because astrology is a language and it's a weird one. And most people, when you start to talk to someone who doesn't know anything about astrology, or if you give a reading and you're one of those people who speaks astrologies to the client, their head explodes. They don't know what you're talking about. So when I do readings, I try not to do that. But also, it's nice to be able to do that with people who actually speak that language. So when I found other people who could speak astrologies to me, I was delighted. And then I found out, wait, you guys all have a club? Like you all hang out together and we can do stuff together and create just community, which is so important. I mean, it's fun to nerd out with astrology on your own, especially when you first start. We all go down that rabbit hole and oh wow, this is in my chart, but after a while, you need to do this with other people. And you learn more that way, and there's more of an exchange. And it's just like the stars and the planets, they aspect each other, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, and the whole study of astrology is really a study of relationships. It's a study of the relationships between planets and one another and different chart points in one another, the relationship between the heavens and the earth, relationships between, really us and created reality. I love that. So speaking of community and speaking of organizations, uh, I thought we could take a moment and talk about some of the ways in which the organization is changing under your leadership, Linda. There's a whole new look and feel that's coming. There are new opportunities for our members. Could you take just a few minutes and guide us through some of the changes that we have been working on?
A lot of it is communication because we have chapters. And in the past, there wasn't a lot of communication from national to the chapters. And so I've been president of the Sacramento chapter for 12 years, I think, maybe. So I've been involved from the worker bee level. And I'm feeling that when we get the chapters more involved, then the whole organization thrives, because the chapters are what makes us different. And that's where we have the interaction, the more intimate interaction with fellow astrologers. So that's one thing that was really important to me, was to really utilize the chapters. And we have regular presidents meetings now, and we actually discuss things. And it's wonderful to get input from the people who are running these. The other thing is, just with the whole thing around being Pisces organization, one of the things that I really feel is important as my dream or my vision is that more and more people will become interested in astrology. It's kind of like, this is the time we've been waiting for. This is the time we came for and been preparing for. So by donating to organizations outside of astrology, where we actually do things for other charities or other people doing good, that seemed really important to me. So we've initiated a giving back program where the chapters nominate um, a cause, And we just donate in the name of NCGR to these other causes. And so it's also part of it is to raise the awareness of astrology, but also to raise the awareness in a good way, where the people go, wow, we got something from this group, and so that's a really important thing. And the other thing is just, I think because I came in right, around the Pluto moving into Aquarius era, and it's so much about community and collaboration. So the other thing is just reaching out to the other orgs, and well, anybody who's on the same mission, and we're all about introducing astrology to the mainstream or getting more of an awareness of astrology out there. And so I'm really about co-supporting and working with each other. And so recently, I've met with the chair of AYA, the Young Astrologers Association, and we're forming an alliance because we're kind of the elders in the organization world. And so it uh, it was kind of at first like we're the old people, but you guys obviously are not. But the leadership team in the past has been elderly or older, and I remembered being at a keynote with Stephen Forrest, and he said astrology is one of the professions where you get more valuable as you get older. And I thought we should take advantage of the fact that we've lived a lot of years and we have a lot of experience. Seen a lot of clients, and so the AYA, one of their missions was to learn from the elder people. So I'm really working on forming an alliance with them, and we're going to do something in the future. I'll let Maria talk about that. But also we've recruited some younger people onto the board, and we're really looking at forming alliances with a lot more of the people who are online and who have followings online. Because one of the things I think all the orgs are looking for is people who are younger, so that we have the wisdom of the elder with the excitement and the wisdom of the younger astrologers too, because they're brilliant. I mean, I have much to learn from them. So we're putting together a mentorship program, not one way, but two ways, so that we learn from each other.
That's one thing that I'm really excited about too. And something that we started talking about before you came on board, when we were doing the symposium in 2021, I believe it was the collaboration and really creating a multi-generational community. And so I'm really personally excited about some of those opportunities that we are opening up to. And Maria, did you want to add anything?
Well, I'm definitely excited. I mean, being part of NCGR is not just collegiality, it's also professional development, because in being a part of an organization, you can make contacts that are friendly, people who speak astrologers just like you do, but also great professional contacts. If you need a mentor, you can find mentorship opportunities. There's, of course, educational opportunities, certifications, seminars, webinars, all kinds of like astrology industry knowledge. And I just wanted to bring up, I had been a board member for the Association for Young Astrologers for 7 years. And so I was on board when we became a nonprofit. And so there was a lot of work done to get that up and running. So it's wonderful to be able to, as a member of NCGR, to be aligning ourselves with other people who are also trying to do good in the world, as Linda mentions, in the field of astrology. So we're actually hosting an International Astrology Day event. It's going to be on March 23rd. It's going to be at 2 p.m. Uh, Pacific, and that's 5 p.m. Eastern. And basically, it's called Ask the Astrologer. So we're going to have professionals from NCGR and the Association for Young Astrologers come on board as a panel, and we're taking your burning astrological questions. So I sent out a communication to all past, present, and future NCGR members and IA members to send us their questions. I mean, what do you want to ask about? Anything that's burning a hole and you can't figure out what does this mean, and has to do with astrology, please send it to us. And then we're taking in donations to support Direct Relief, which is one of our favorite charities. So it's an exciting time to be an astrologer, and I'm really glad that we are doing these affiliations with other organizations. And I just wanted to mention, when the name of Aya was created, it is the Association for Young Astrologers. And when I talk about young astrologers, we don't just mean age-wise. We mean brandy new to astrology. You could be 50 and you just read your first astrology book. So the Association for Young Astrologers is for people who are young to astrology, not just young people. So I just wanted to put that out into the ethers. Um, so that's going to be a fun time on the 23rd, and I look forward to doing that and being with the other panel members. So um, send us your questions. You can actually find us on Facebook if you look at NCGR and just search on Facebook. You can mail us your questions from there. So that's an easy in if you have a burning astrology question that you want us to answer on that day.
Yeah, and I just like to add one other thing with the young astrologers is I just joined as a benefactor because they don't, it's only $50. And just to be able to support the people who are carrying on our profession, I think is really important. So just these are just things that where we can mutually support one another. I just think where we can do that, it just raises the profession, you know, as a whole.
There are so many new budding astrologers, and on social media, it's opened up a whole world of astrology information. And being a part of an organization allows you to connect and be a part of a community that does emphasize professional development, excellence in research, excellence in the way that we practice astrology. So so that is something that I think merging with AYA, merging in preparation for the next UAC conference, I think that now is the time to be, to be really a part of these communities. And so I wanted to let that be a little bit of a segue. There's a lot of big astrology coming down the road. There's a lot of big astrology that's happening right now. Obviously, Pluto's move into Aquarius that you referenced. The astrology that's coming with Saturn, Neptune moving into Aries, Uranus moving into Gemini over the next several years. Given the astrology of right now, what do you think is our opportunity? What are our challenges, number one, as an organization, and what are our opportunities? And I'll let either one of you start who wants to.
Well, I just was thinking about the age of air, right? We're in this new Jupiter-Saturn conjunction that takes place every 20 years. And this one is special because it's the beginning of a new 800-year cycle in the air element, and it's the end of the past 200-year cycle in the earth element. And the earth element was all about capitalism, right? And we kind of were using up all the earth's resources, which is not great. And we weren't really caring so much about the air as much as we could have. And now it's the age of air. And fortunately, people are starting to do things like electric power, hydrogen power. I mean, whoever thought we'd be driving electric cars, right? The car industry was so anti doing things like that. And so, uh, again, the organization that we are paying back to when we do our next recent event for Ask the Astrologer is called Direct Relief. And what they do is they provide support to people who are living challenging lives because of what has been going on in the world. They give money to people who require healthcare in war-torn areas, or places where there have been geological stress, like the past earthquake that occurred in Turkey. And so in this way, we can partner with the greater community, knowing that the astrology of the world, like the situation with the climate is only going to get better if we are partners in making that happen. So part of our transformation, as an organization, is to become part of the greater community, as Linda says. And it just puts a realistic face to people in the world of astrology when the external world realizes we're people too, and we care just as much about the earth and the air as the next person. So we're not just astrologers, we're people too living on this earth.
Right, right. And I also think that the Saturn moving into Pisces was at the same time. I mean, these things just we tend to sometimes isolate just one transit, but we have to look at the whole thing. And when Pluto moves into Aquarius, Saturn's in Pisces, then it's really like Maria was saying, we're moving out of the capitalism, the you know the drive to just achieve, and moving more into the awareness that we're all connected, that with the Pisces piece, that we're all part of each other. And it's not about competition, but it is about collaboration. And how do we use the gifts that we each have through our astrology charts to the greater whole? So I think that this whole thing is happening. I wish it could be, snap your fingers and suddenly we're in a new world, and the earth can heal herself and all that. But we are opening up to new concepts, of things that aliens are not here to, to destroy us and make us all zombies, but that there may be that we perhaps come from a galactic heritage, and maybe we have ancestors who are also helping with this whole thing. It's like the Pisces piece is just opening us up to other possibilities. And so we're not kind of with blinders on that 3D reality is this is all we have, and that we have to live within those bounds. But it gives us kind of this boundaryless ability to consider that there's so much more to life than we were led to believe, you might say. Yeah. So,
It, I think it's one of the reasons why I was so committed to running for elected office, like in my community, was uh, to to bridge that divide, to help to like you were speaking to, Maria, bring astrology out into other parts of the world and expand beyond. And I think that's a really important contribution that you've made, Linda, in your short time here, is creating these opportunities like the International Astrology Day event that we have, where we can show that, number one, there's a professional excellence to our field and standards that we uphold to. Um, and number two, that we aren't just isolated in the New Age community, metaphysical community, like we were, when I first started, for sure, back in the early 2000s. That really astrology is becoming more and more interwoven into every other sector of our world, and I think it always has been, but now it's more acceptable to talk about.
yeah,
Absolutely. Newspaper articles, it would sound like we're super cute, like astrologers are cute. They think this. Isn't that cute? You know? But then they started reading astrologers were talking about how there was going to be this big shift in 2020 that was coming, and the pandemic hit, and then people are thinking, my goodness, there might be something going on with here, with these ideas. And I mean, we're fortunately in a time when Saturn is in Pisces, and I know that's not an ideal placement, but every placement is useful. It has its time and place. And Saturn in Pisces is allowing us to manifest how we can make peace with what we have done in the past and how we can move forward to create new ways of being that don't have as many boundaries. Like, we are really a global community these days, right? I mean, COVID taught us that. Like, we are a global community, whether you like it or not. And so if you don't face that, you're really not looking at reality. And right now, Jupiter's in Taurus, so things are actually kind of sweet. Like, things are kind of sweet and slow. So it'll be interesting once Jupiter goes into Gemini. I mean, the AI thing is going to totally explode even more than it is exploding, right? Like, facilitating the transfer ideas and the informations is just going to really boom. So that is an interesting thing, and it'll be curious to see how that affects the world of astrology.
yeah. Yeah. And I think that it's kind of seeping out as like with Rachel being on the city council, and people just observing her and see how wise she is and so forth. And she may be able to share something that that she doesn't say, astrologically, this is just going here and we'd have it, but she can say things that come true or people recognize, wow, there must be something there. I would do volunteer work on Tuesday mornings for this group. And we repurpose flowers for hospice patients and we make little arrangements and so forth. And the ladies are the wealthier people. And I've always felt like, the oddball, like she's an astrologer, but they've asked me to come and speak to one of their groups. Actually, but there's two different groups, and they've asked me to come and speak. Both groups have asked me to come and speak to regular people. And so I'm really excited at the prospect of being able to share what we do and how it helps people come to know themselves better and one another better. I just feel like the door has kind of been opened to introduce astrology to the mainstream, to regular people. And I think I'm not alone. I think many other people are getting asked to do these kinds of things. And so it's like it's raising the awareness or the credibility of astrology where we're not, having to hide or whisper what we do. Yeah, it's I yeah, but I honor you, Rachel, for what you're doing, and in representing astrology in that capacity.
Thank
Yeah.
you. And you
Yeah,
too.
again, we're so fortunate. We're so fortunate with like the astrology of the times, like with Uranus and Taurus, right? I mean, so our Uranian so-called weirdness or ingenuity is actually becoming a practical tool. Like people are realizing that this astrology is a useful concept. It's innovative, but not new. I mean, people have been doing astrologies for I mean, years and years and years. And realizing that if you can become savvy in this, like you have people asking you to speak, like regular people, right? Asking you to speak because they realize that the inventiveness is there that can help them, you know, make their real practical lives better. I mean, who doesn't want that? It's like a magic, like easy button. It's like, oh, there's a thing that actually explains how this all works. Wait, come speak to us about that.
Right. And I think we started this conversation with talking about just how intense this time has been, and astrology can really provide a symbolic language to help us make sense of what's happening right now and how do we fit within the bigger collective whole. And so I think that's a real value too, is just making meaning, finding context.
Yeah,
Yeah,
people are desperate for answers,
sure.
because it feels like the world's just, you know, crumbling or it's changing and people are just feeling that we're in a time of great change. And so being able to assure them that this is all purposeful and that we're moving in the right direction, it just can feel scary because who likes change, you know?
Right. Most people, I mean, especially not even a little bit of change, but radical change. I mean,
This is
that's
change.
basically the speed we're going right now. And
Mm.
there's just a great need for reform and revolution. And of course, there's fear that this is going to be coming faster than anybody would like, but it's so needed. I mean, everybody knows that where we are is okay, but where we'd like to be is in a different place. Well, how are we going to get there, right? So, Pluto is shimmying back from Aquarius into Capricorn and back into Aquarius. And, we're going to see that how people have been doing things, that's the way we always done it, is not going to be the way. I mean, that's not, so we're just going to be moving forward and finding a new way to do things. And I think astrologers are going to be part of that reform and revolution.
Absolutely. And we could be the ones who are kind of explaining the energy for what's going on so that they can feel like, oh, there's a purpose for all of this. It's not just, everything's just crumbling. Was doing a live stream for another group. And one of the things that it feels like to me is that we all feel like something's happening, we're being called to something, but we don't know what it is. And it's kind of like anxious. And the metaphor came to me is like, we're on the old-fashioned roller coasters. You remember this? I don't know if you guys remember those,
The
but
wooden
you,
ones.
the, the the wooden ones, yeah. And you're on the clunk, 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 you're moving up the thing. That's how I think that's the energy that we're feeling. It's like, oh my God, things are, but we're in the pause or the gap, I call it, and so we're just kind of moving, click, 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 one thing at a time going up. And when we get to the top, it's going to be whoo, and it's not going to be suddenly everything's just, perfect. We're going to have highs and lows, just like life in general. So it could be like a roller coaster. But the fear, I think that people at the bottom of the real fear is we're coming into a different station than we left from.
Mhm.
It's like we're not going to go back. And I think that's the gut feeling, like, oh my God, what's happening? Where are we going? But the thing is, we're all got on that roller coaster. And so we have a choice to white knuckle it and scream the whole time, or we can kind of go, woo, what an adventure, let's make the most of this ride. And so this is really important for people to get that we're all on the ride, and we have control over how we ride the ride, you know, and that's what astrology gives us, is the confidence to know that the station we're coming in at is going to be better than the one we left.
Mm. I love that. I love that. I feel like that is a great note to close on. Um, and it speaks to so much to what we're all feeling being at that clunk, clunk, clunk part of the roller coaster ride. So, is there anything else? I will put links to direct relief in underneath the video. I will also put links to our more information about our International Astrology Day event on March 23rd, so that if everyone can join and send your questions in beforehand. Is there anything else that either one of you wanted to add before we close?
Well, I would just like to thank both you and Rachel, I mean, you, Rachel, and Maria, for being on the board. I mean, this is the quality of people that we have. Our board is really blossoming, and I have great hope for where NCGR is going, and the impact we'll be making in our community. So yes, thank you both.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And yes, let's give a huge shout out to all of our board members, new
Yes,
ones who have
board.
rotated off.
Yes.
We have an awesome, awesome board, and we've had some changes in our board membership. But everyone who serves this organization is there with their heart and their soul dedicated to it. And so thank you all board members,
Yes.
and thank you both for for really being leaders in astrology and leaders in this organization.